Whaziznamez 50. This is episode 5 of the 12-part series. And today's theme is Square One. I chose that theme because that has always been the name of my personal creative space, my home studio if you want. I call it Square One Laboratories actually. And I am currently in the process of, what should I say, initializing, or I'm currently in the process of remodeling, rebuilding, reshaping Square One to fit into the little tiny room that I'm staying in at the moment. Don't get me wrong, this is the 7th variation of Square One, and it has indeed been in smaller spaces than this. However, I've gotten comfortable with a certain methodology, and small space really doesn't work for me anymore. But I'll do my best to get it in here, and I think I'll be fine. Anyway, the reason why we're doing that today is because I will be remodeling the room, and I guess you can watch along. Also, while I do that, that'll cause me to need to move away some stuff that has been sitting in storage. And one of those things that have been sitting in storage is my collection of extremely worn jeans. So I guess I'll be doing a little fashion-y show, like think it's for you, to get you a look at Whaziznamez Levi's. Well, that's all I can think of to say right now. We'll be back in a moment. I was kind of hesitant to do this like this because my little space is a mess at the moment. And that's only partially because I haven't put my room back together. The other part of that is because the building that it's in is always a mess. My mother is one of those people I guess you'd call a hoarder. Collects every damn thing. Has a little tiny path to get from one place to another in her house because there's so much stuff collected hither and yon. And the building that she does her hoarding in is the same building that I'm living in. However, I live upstairs with my grandmother, who is now 87, almost 88 years old. Actually, I think she will be 88 by the time you see this. Anyway. And so therefore, of course, she too has a collection of piles hither and yon, which of course carries on to everything else in the place. It's extremely difficult for me to function in that type of space. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of stuff myself, or in fact too much stuff for a feral type. But all the stuff I have is actually something that I use in my creativity. You know, anyway, I don't mind sharing the mess with you because of my personal motto of nothing to hide and nothing to prove. And because of my personal motto, it's not what you have, it's how you use it. Now, I don't have much, but I do get busy with it. I have another personal motto, which will probably come into play since I'm in my personal space doing my personal thing, and that is, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and invariably when you show yours off, you have to put yourself in an awkward position. Okay, think about it. Even though I'm recording this on Christmas Eve 2011, it's actually kind of warm in here. So let me get out of this and get busy. One of my favorite books, perhaps even my favorite book, is Illusions, by The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah by Richard Bach. It's a very interesting story, actually a set of stories, if you will, about self-realization, in my opinion. You have to read it to find out what you think it's about. But one of my favorite parts is in the first chapter, which is made like it's written in a notebook, you know, by hand. That's only the first chapter, not the whole book. But my favorite part of that first chapter is a parable that the Messiah tells to the crowd that is, of course, asking him these questions. Let me read a little bit of it. And he said unto them, within each of us lies the power of our consent to health and to sickness, to riches and to poverty, to freedom and to slavery. It is we who control these things, and not another. A millman spoke and said, easy words for you, master, for you are guided as we are not, and you need not toil as we toil. A man has to work for his living in this world. The man answered and said, the master, answered and said, once there was a village of creatures along the bottom of a great crystal river. The current of the river swept gently over them all, young and old, rich and poor, good and evil, the current going its own way, knowing on its own crystal self. Each creature in its own manner clung tightly to the twigs and rocks of the bottom of the river, for clinging was their way of life, and resisting the current each had learned from birth. But one creature said at last, I am tired of clinging. Though I cannot see it with my eyes, I trust that the current knows where it is going. I shall let go and let it take me where it will. Clinging, I shall surely die of boredom. The other creatures laughed and said, fool, let go, and that current you worship will throw you tumbled and smashed across the rocks, and you will die quicker than from boredom. But the one heeded them not, and taking a breath, did let go, and at once was tumbled and smashed by the current across the rocks. Yet in time, as the creature refused to cling again, the current lifted him free from the bottom, and he was bruised and hurt no more. And the creatures downstream, to whom he was a stranger, cried, look, a miracle, a creature like ourselves, yet he flies. See the Messiah come to save us all. And the one carried in the current said, I am no more Messiah than you. The river delights to lift us free, if only we dare let go. Our true work is this voyage, this adventure. But they cried the more, Savior, all the while clinging to the rocks. And when they looked again, he was gone, and they were left alone, making legends of a Savior. Now, I think that creative thinkers are like that creature that decided to let go. You know, we can keep doing it the way we've been doing it and keep hoping for the best. Or you can formulate an idea and get busy. There's nothing wrong with failing at a true, honest attempt. But I don't think that most of us even really try. We want to be just a little bit different. Just enough so people won't put you in with everybody. But you want to be in that group anyway. And you can't have both. Okay? You either got to let go and go free, or you got to stay there and cling. Alright? Either way, the book is full of other cool wisdoms and perspectives. If you haven't seen it, or haven't read it, or if you haven't read it in a while, pick it up, dig out a copy. In fact, buy them used online like I did for about 3 cents a piece. Give them to everybody you know for Christmas. Okay? Be back in a minute. One of the creative things that I'm involved in, as you may remember from episode 1, is 3D graphics. Pinups, erotica, and various other things. Currently, in fact, my computer is working on a Christmassy pinup. So, I'll let us take a peek at that. Oh, it's just about done, but we can peek anyway. Now, this is a just rendered pinup of my original character, Louisa, and her super curvy self in her Christmassy mode. Ah, there we go. That's Louisa. Yes, the picture is sideways, but that's the way it renders, and of course I'll straighten it out before normal people get to see it. So, while I'm thinking about posing, how about I give you a quick peek at the process that's required to make something like you just saw with Louisa. Okay, so when Poser starts, this is how it looks, at least on my version. When you first started, there will be a figure standing in the screen, and that will be one of the people that come with that version of Poser. This person is Don. He's the Poser 5 man. In fact, this is Don, the Poser 5 man with clothes. His clothes are actually part of him. If you turn his shirt invisible, he has no body up under it. That makes him very lightweight for the computer, you know, uses less memory. That's also for those who don't want to see naked people, so why even bother? I haven't used Don that much lately because, as I say, I do pinups and erotica, so Don with his clothes on is not all that sexy. I'm just going to get rid of him and import a different character. In this case, I'll use Victoria 4 because she is a generation of the most popular character on the planet, and she has many variables. Oops, I'm forgetting what I'm doing. This is Victoria 4, in her T-pose and in her painted on what's called second skin bikini. Again, I guess that's for people who, oh my gosh, that person is naked. Now the first thing that can be done with Victoria is you can add what are called morphs to her. She comes with a morph, but you can purchase sets of morphs for her. Sometimes the Poser community creates free morphs for her. By using those morphs, you can modify her from this fairly average shape and look into just about any kind of character that you would want. Depending on the amount of morphs you have and depending on the amount of time that you want to spend. One can also create their own morphs by using a 3D modeling program, an actual mesh creation program, and modifying them and then importing them as morph targets. This particular Vicky is already set up with her own Morph Plus set and with several freebie morphs made by people on external mesh editors. You can't see them now because she's standing there in her normal mode, but I can easily change her. For example, using her Morphs Plus, you could make her into a super buff girl. And if that ain't enough for you, you can make her into an extremely super buff girl. You could make her into a thin girl. You can make her into an extremely thin girl too, if that's your objective. Now these again are just quick, full value morph changes. By full value meaning I went all the way to the maximum amount that they can be used. Once you've done something like that, then of course you want to decide, what she was doing. Like I say, in the case of this Victoria, she already has all the morphs in her. So I could easily go to a pose file and make her into someone else. You saw Curvy Louisa earlier, so maybe we'll stick with the curvy girls for today. I'll change Victoria, normal Victoria 4 into this begonia. Oops. I didn't change her, did I? I just changed her pose. Now that's an example, even though I made a mistake doing it. By me picking this pose, it just changed her positioning in there. And that's cool too. That saves you a lot of time and trouble when you have complicated poses. Especially things like riding a motorcycle or shooting a gun or fighting with somebody on the floor. Here we go. Now we'll change her body. Okay. Now you see she's nice hippie sister. Her features have changed so that she is pretty much clearly African American or something of that sort. I'll give her a little sexy pose back too. There we go. Now, she's still there in her little purple suit because she still has on default skin. If indeed I wanted to have her look like someone else, I'd need to use someone else's skin. So let me quickly run and do that. I use a really nice brown skin created by an excellent young woman, or I should say excellent artist who happens to be a young woman who makes the most wonderful brown skin tones. This particular one is from a character she gave away for free called Minx. Now, because of the kind of shaders she uses and the kind of shaders I use to modify the stuff that she uses, it might not show up exactly as brown skin on the monitor, but when we render the picture, she'll definitely be brown. So, now we've got our nude brown skinned model. You notice that once we did that though, her little bit of hairstyle went away too, because the hair was actually drawn onto the skin as well, which is cool, but doesn't work for what I normally use it for. So we need to give her some skin. But before we do that, let's check, or some hair, but before we do that, let's check to see. This is her face. Pretty naked, pretty green eyes. But let's see, we'll give her a little makeup and stuff. What do we feel like today? Pink or purple or the default color? Let's do the pink. Let's do the purple thing. We'll put purplish on the lips. And we'll put purplish on the eyes. Oh, that's a lot of purple. But we'll work with that. Okay? Now, as I said, she's standing there naked and bald-headed. Most people might not complain too much about being naked, but who wants to be bald-headed, right? As you notice, I switched the view so I could see her face. The application has, of course, the ability to show any number, or I should say various views. So that you can take a good look at your model. That would be from the left. That would be from the right. That's your main camera as we've been looking at. From the top. Straight from the front. And you could even do them multiples at a time, although I don't usually work that way. It can be done that way. 2 different views at once, in this case the face and the mane. 3 different views at once, the face, the mane, and the top. 3 different views in a different situation, again, the mane, the top, and the right. You know, and so if you're working on a really complicated scene and don't want to switch back and forth between cameras, you can easily work on multiple cameras at one time. We'll pick out a nice, simple, quick hair. Something not too long. Something that is kind of cool. It's something that I always like, works really well. Somebody gave it away for free. Oh no, where's the other one? That's even better. Oh no, that's in here. There we go. It's called Holly Hair. I gave it away a few years ago. I still use it a lot though. Since I am poor, I really don't buy all that much stuff. I have to do what I got. As I said earlier, it's not what you got, it's how you use it. If you got free stuff and you use it, then that's what all that counts. So, now you might say, oh my gosh, why are there all those little white lines? Well, that again is a particular display option. It allows the artist to see more accurately where the hair is and how it's made. And it also saves resources in the computer because the computer doesn't have to draw it. Right now it's just a set of lines, what's called a wireframe or a mesh. I can change its display on most hairs. Let me be sure of this one. I can change its display to something else to help me do it. That would be the cartoon line, which is cartoons with lines, which is kind of like a solid view of the mesh. This is very good for making sure where things are and what's sticking inside of what. And there's also the texture shaded mode, which generally turns into a dot cloud because there will be transparency applied to the hair. Of course, by looking at it through dot cloud, it's like she really doesn't have any hair. For this particular section, I'll just go on back to the cartoon look, and we'll work with that for a moment while I adjust her hair. We're going to make it a little bit longer in the back. And I think we're going to push the bangs over to the side a little bit. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more, in fact. So off her cute little eyes on that one side. Okay, so now she has some hair. Yes, again, it looks funny for now, but we'll fix that. But she's still standing there in her birthday suit. And even though there's absolutely nothing wrong with her birthday suit, let's go get her something to wear. One of the content creators that I've become kind of fond of, or become quite fond of, and in fact been often inspired by, is a team from Madison, Wisconsin called Evil Innocence. And I think I first became associated with them finding their free items. But as time went on, I got to be a tester for them. And so we're kind of like, you know, internet neighbors now. And even though I use an obsolete version of Poser, well, a very old version of Poser, so I don't do much testing for them anymore, I'm still very much inspired by their work. And in fact, I hope to include Andy and/or Andrea in this series. Let's get Sister Girl something to wear right quick. Now, there's a technology in this where clothes can automatically change to adjust, change shape to fit any particular character that uses the Victoria 4 Morphs Plus, which is very handy for people like Begonia because she is highly modified from the regular Victoria, remember? So, let's add her some clothes really quickly. You don't want her to catch cold. I mean, it isn't Christmas Eve after all in Wisconsin. Once the clothing are in the scene, then you conform the clothing to the character, in this case, Begonia. And there we go. Now she has on a pair of shorts. I'll turn to the side to check, because Begonia has a big butt. Make sure her butt's not sticking out. And it's not. We got a couple little fit problems around the front of the waist, but that's not surprising. And I can fix that at some point in the future. Now, when using these automatically conforming clothes, it's important to always pick the Victoria before you put in some new clothes so that it can know, okay, we need to act like that. Now, you see the top didn't fit that well. Her breasts are so big that the top didn't completely adjust to fit them. Again, that doesn't surprise me. I created Begonia to know how extreme she is. However, inside the top there are adjustments that will allow me to fix that. And so, I will find them and use them right quick. Okay, there we go. Now I pretty much got her breasts under control. Again, this is a quickie, and I would take more time adjusting it if indeed I was going to use it for a finished product. This is just to give you an idea what goes on. We can go pick her some shoes, and a car, and a dog, and all kind of environments if we wanted to do that. But, as with any type of photography, a very important consideration is what camera and what lights. So you can also design and save your own camera and light presets. In this case, what I mean for single person pinups, I generally use the posing camera, and I have a couple presets set for it. One, of course, that turns it on this angle so she feels the frame a little better. And one even for kneeling like that. I don't know if you can see this little icon, but one even for kneeling like that. And I've created certain light starters. I usually use similar type lighting. Start out with a basic 3-point light and then modify it to, you know, fit the needs of the scene. Some scenes have as many as 16 lights in them, some only one. And matter of fact, there was a particular community experiment where to see if you can, what can you do without any lights in the scene. So, that was kind of fun. So I picked me a set of lights that are much prettier in color and in, you know, angles and intensities than the default lights. And then I could tell it to, let me see, what does it look like? In which case then the computer will do a render, which is drawing the picture. This is what's called a preview render or a draft render. So the quality will not be that high, but it'll also happen a lot quicker. Because of the type of materials or textures and the amount of figures in the scenes I create, mine have a tendency to run about between an hour I'd say they'd average around an hour or an hour and a half. Some as quickly as 20 minutes. Some as long as, well, let's put it this way, the longest one I ever ran was 4 days. Was it 84 hours or something like that? So when building a scene, it is kind of important to keep track of how much stuff you used in there and how much of what kind of stuff. If you have very highly reflective stuff, like I tend to generally do, and you have a lot of transparent stuff, which I generally do, and if the transparent stuff refracts and reflects, which in my scenes they generally do, then you can expect your render times to be outrageous for even a simple little scene. This scene right here uses no reflection, no refraction, and no transparency with the exception of what's on her hair and her eyes. So it won't take that long. Even if I turn it up to high quality, it'd still run really quickly. The shadows from the lights might slow it down a little bit because I have a kind of weird shadowing technique that I use. I shouldn't say weird, but it's a little bit more processor intensive than the way the lights normally are. One cool thing about these kind of renders, even the low quality ones, is Poser automatically generates an alpha channel, which is the clear space, the empty space around her, is set up on a separate layer in the resulting image file, which means that you can put anything else into that space very easily. Compositing, rotoscoping, that kind of stuff, all depends on the alpha channel. Now, it's not impossible to create your own alpha channel, for sure, but it's certainly nice when the computer can do it for you. If you save this file out as a PSD or PNG or I think a TIFF, and maybe a GIF too, the alpha layer will stay in it. You take it into another application, select the alpha layer, draw in your favorite carnival scene, and now all of a sudden you got Vicky at the carnival. Take that same picture, grab the alpha channel, or access the alpha channel, draw on your favorite nightclub scene, and now you got Vicky at the nightclub. As you can see, the computer has completed drawing her, but is now drawing the rest of the alpha channel. So, there we have it. Begonia. In Evil Innocence' Summer pants and top. I don't think there were shoes with that one. I have a tendency to separate the shoes into a separate place in the runtime. That way when I'm looking for shoes, I just go get shoes. When I'm looking for tops, I just go get tops. When I want a shirt and pants set, I go to the shirt and pants sets category and get one. Dresses, fantasy, armor, you know, blah, 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 blah. So, that's a quick look at the way I use Poser to create. Hey there, welcome back. As you can see, I made something like progress, getting my room in a position where I can do a little more work. At least I'm not on the floor. Not that I mind working on the floor, it's just, you know, a little bit awkward. Plus this room is very tiny, in my opinion. Anyway, you can see back here, the Mac is doing, well, that Mac is doing its work, rendering another Christmassy pinup. One of the things that I do in my creative space is make music. I think I should do some of that here. Give you a little peek, sort of like what I did with Poser. So, why don't I do that? Okay, so I put one of my little favorite toys up here. It's an ASRX Pro. I always think of it as the red box. It's a sampling workstation. Actually, was technically known as a resampling workstation. Not only can it sample, but it can sample the samples that it already sampled. Whatever. Let's get it doing what it does. Also during that time, oh, that's right, I was eating a waffle. 1 second. Oh, in case I didn't mention to you, this is Christmas Day, 2011. So excuse me if I get distracted. I'm in the process of helping my grandmother, or since they're helping, making sure my grandmother is getting ready to do what she wants to do. Right now, she says she's getting her energy up, which means she's not doing anything. I'll check back on her in a little bit. Ooh. What I generally do with this, make up a little groove. What I generally do when I'm practicing, make up a little groove, let the sequence run, play along to it, maybe even hook the guitar into it, play through it. We'll see what happens. A little quick thing. Yesterday, I talked about making up a groove and practicing to it. I really wasn't in the mood. You know, my mind wasn't in it. I wasn't feeling it. Which is not surprising. I mean, it was Christmas. I was helping my grandmother get ready to go where she was going, and that was about 4 hours of constant chatter or on and off conversations. Rearranging the room, so probably my mind's thinking about, okay, what goes where. Trying to get out a set of Christmas pinups, get a set of Christmas pinups finished. I'm always late for those, so it's not like I need them done by Christmas, but I do like them done by New Year's, and so far I got 5 done, but I have 7 ideas, so I still got 2 more to do. Anyway, I wasn't feeling the music yesterday, so today, after talking about jeans, I was a little bit more inspired, went to do my practice, and I came with a different little groove. So, I will show that. Let me play along with that. Let's see. No, I want this? Sure, why not?
Happy 50, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know I've been celebrating all year, though.
Huh?
I said, but you know I've been celebrating all year, though.
I know.
This is my 6th 50th or the 7th, whatever it is. That voice you heard, that was my nephew telling me happy birthday. Because today is the 26th. Okay, so you forgot that part. Anyway, let's see what I'm feeling. Here's a little groove thing I came up with. Isn't working. Let's see what I can do about that. There we go. It's a tricky thing tuning inside such an effect, and yes, I should have just turned it off and done it, but oh well. Let's see what we can do with this right quick. Like I gotta shorten my cord here. Or is it the jack? I think it's the cord. Either way, I'm not feeling that either. Let's say? I want to thank everyone. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for the positive feedback I've been receiving from other parts of the series. It's good to know that my so-called real reality show is something that people will watch. I got started with this train of thought because there's so many reality shows on TV which are obviously not real. They're scripted and shot with retakes and shot with 10 cameras at once, and you know, that's just not even real, not even a reality show. It is my opinion that people who like to watch real people even more than they like to watch celebrities, because celebrities are manufactured personalities. You know, in my opinion, if you were to go to Gene Simmons' house and hang out with him, it'd be a whole lot different than when you watch Gene Simmons, what's it called, Private Jewels or Family Jewels, what's it called? You know, same thing with all the rest of them. You know, there's stuff that people do that is not included in the show, okay? And there's stuff that people do that they tweak and tune so that it becomes more entertainment, okay? Some of these blow-ups that you see on some of these reality shows, I'm thinking of American Chopper in particular, everybody has those, but they play differently in real life than they do on television. And it's kind of saddening to me when I see people who take those kind of shows as if they're truth, and they think that they know these people. You know, they think that they're getting a real peek at their life, and they're probably not. You know, some people are such characters that, yeah, it's kind of hard for them to turn it off, so you're getting a much more closer look at them than you normally would. But again, they're professional actors, which are essentially professional liars, and so they create these characters for you whenever there's a camera around, okay? I have to admit that even in my real reality show, my mind has the tendency to consider playing the character of Whazizname since the camera's on him. See, Murray is a quiet guy, minds his own business, you know, whatever. I give you advice if you ask for it or if you really need it. Otherwise, I'm going about my thing. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I'm not trying to hide anything from anyone. But when I'm doing this show, see, I have to push people along, and hey, the line is, "Hi, my name is," and you're watching Whaziznamez 50. And then tell your favorite Whazizname story, or remember the time that we, or the other time, or that time when that girl, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, so I'm pushing along, you know, and that's, to me, is sort of a character. The real Murray don't even care about that, you know. It has been enjoyable to watch some of the stories that people dig up to tell about me, and I've especially enjoyed the creative thinkers' explanations of their creative thinking. But, I don't know. I'll talk more about that. I'll probably make an extra episode thanking all the people that came on the show. And one other thing I should say, too, while I'm thinking about it. I mentioned that my favorite thing to wear is nothing. And it's sort of a tradition in America, and maybe elsewhere in the world, for the person celebrating their birthday to wear their favorite outfit or have them a new custom outfit designed so they can wear and show off. With that in mind, I guess I need to do one of these shows in my birthday suit. That's pretty close today, but you know, that's not what I'm talking about. So I have to work on that. You might have heard that mentioned on a couple of the TV shows, a couple of other matter shows, because the conversation has come up. And if not, now you know. Skinny dudes do it on TV, or I shouldn't say skinny dudes, aerodynamic dudes, streamlined guys, lightweight guys, thin guys. See, you don't need to be skinny. You need to be slim or slender if you want to. You don't have to be skinny. So, I'll be back. I guess that just about does it for this episode of Whaziznamez 50. Remember, I will be doing this until July 2012. If you're seeing this when it's new, what is it, February probably when it's playing, and you want to be on the show, you want to express your creative thinking, you feel that you've been inspired by me, or you feel that I've inspired you, contact me. There are links, information at the end of the show in the credits. Or if you know me, you can get my number from one of your friends, or come by my house, beat on the door, you know what I mean, whatever it takes. And you can contribute to Whaziznamez 50 also. So, with that said, peace and power to you.